And today we're going to be taking a closer look at all OLED Nintendo Switches. We're going to be seeing if it's worth the cop or if it's a drop. But before we jump into the blog, we have to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor. BlockBuy. BlockFi is a crypto platform looking to build a bridge between cryptocurrencies and traditional financial and wealth management products. And they offer what's called a BlockFi interest account that allows individuals and companies that own crypto to earn interest in crypto with that account. And of course, BlockFi allows us, clients, to buy or sell cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and more. Not to mention they also offer a BlockFi rewards card, which lets you earn Bitcoin on everyday purchases. You'll be able to earn 1.5% back in Bitcoin on every single transaction. And it has no annual fee. So if you want to get started, you can earn up to $250 as a Bitcoin bonus when you buy crypto on BlockFi. And guys, this is an exclusive limited time offer. So definitely check the links down below in the description if you want to get in on it now. But now let's get back to that old OLED Switch. And right off the bat, when I unbox this thing as a daily Nintendo Switch player, I could immediately see the difference between you guys. So the new Nintendo Switch has a bigger OLED display. It's a bigger screen, smaller bezels, and you've got the OLED display. What does the OLED display mean? And means you're going to get a much better screen, a better panel. You got better colors, more contrast, darker blacks, all of that leads to a much better viewing experience. And it just feels like a device that was made in 2021. We've got an original Switch over here. And as you guys can see, it's got much bigger bezels when you use this thing on its own. It's not so bad, but when you put it side by side with the new OLED Switch, you can see a huge difference. And it felt like night and day, the second I unbox this thing. If you're one of those people wondering, is there a big difference between the screens? I'll tell you right now, there is. The content is a little bit larger, but because it has that little LED screen, the colors pop quite a bit more. It is just a very nice viewing experience. Certain games though, once they get dark, it gets dark. So that's something you kind of has to deal with, but the overall experience on this, amazing. So yes, it is a very different experience playing on the Switch compared to the original. I'm telling you guys to trust your boy on this one. It's a lot nicer, but Nintendo made some other changes with the Switch as well. One of which is the new kickstand. So as you guys can see, it is no longer this one random strip of plastic that's supposed to be used as listening. I don't know what Nintendo was thinking. But this right here is a legitimate stand, makes it very, very easy to just place this thing down. Use it from many angles. This is how it should have been from the start. Nintendo did a really good job with this guy. It feels solid. It even feels like it's metal, adds a sort of feel of quality here, but this thing is great. I wouldn't change a thing now because we do have this larger display. The Switch has expanded ever so slightly. It's a little bit wider than the standard Switch. And most people won't even notice the difference. For where this becomes an issue is if you have some accessories, maybe like some grips or something, it's not going to fit on the OLED Switch. And if it does, it might be a little bit weird. Chances are you're going to want to get dedicated OLED Switch accessories, especially when it comes to like grips and anything that conforms to the body of the original Switch. So if you are coming from one of the original ones, that's something to keep in mind, but the slots for the Joy-Cons are pretty much the same. So if you do have third-party accessories or you have some Joy-Cons that you love from your old sweats, they'll fit on here with no problem. That part is still the same, thankfully. So even third-party Joy-Cons will work here without issue. Now, something that they've changed here, that I'm not a fan of while using it, just trying to mess with the volume. The buttons are fine, but they were way easier to press on the original model, but the original has slightly more raised buttons. These are a little bit more recessed, so they're a little bit harder to press. I liked the originals quite a bit more, but the power buttons though, are pretty much the same. I just find myself praying kind of pressing in a little bit more, with the volume buttons here. I wish Nintendo kept it a little bit more raised, but with all the physical changes that Nintendo has made, this pretty much feels like via original Switch when it's in your hand and you're playing. But with that screen and the overall experience from having a nicer display, it feels a lot more premium, especially with this like metal kickstand in the back. And for me, it's felt like an upgrade compared to what I've been using. Now, something else that Nintendo has been advertising is improved speakers. And I got to say, guys, I didn't notice a change in the sound at all. So if you're hoping that this thing has louder, booming, or sound or something like that, it's not going to be anything crazy. And while we're talking about things being pretty much the same performance, so this is not the Nintendo Switch Pro that we were all hoping for. This is pretty much using the same internals as the original Switch. So performance-wise, what you got with the original you're getting here. You're not going to get better frame rates or anything like that. I think that's why a lot of people were pretty upset when they got the news about the OLED Switch. Well, I think Nintendo did a really good job in terms of just the hardware and the overall experience when it comes to looking at the games on the performance side of things, it's pretty much the same. So it's lacking and I understand why people would be upset. So if you've already got a Switch and you don't care for the visual upgrades that you're getting here, chances are, you probably won't care for the OLED Switch at all. Now I'll be honest, for me, the games that I play, I didn't need an upgrade in power. Everything that I enjoy playing on the Switch has run smoothly for me, for the most part, even on the original Switch. So the experience here has been pretty much the same, but I just get that better overall viewing experience, which has pretty much made the whole thing feel a lot better for me. But if you'd like to play games where a lot is going on the screen at once, I think that's when you want to wait for the next iteration of the Switch, something that provides a little bit more power. Now, speaking of power, you probably wondering about the battery life, and for the most part battery life is also kind of the same. A certain game of course can take advantage of like the OLED display, especially those darker game sense with an OLED display, whenever there's black on the screen, the pixels are not being lit. So it's using less power, not consuming as much juice. So there's maybe some slight battery savings here and there, but it's a game-by-game basis. So you're not gonna see an overall increase in battery life on this guy. For me, from the games that I've been playing, it's felt the same. So no real benefits in terms of battery there. Another reason why you might not want to upgrade now, the Switch isn't the only thing that got a few cosmetic changes. We've also got the new Switch dock. This is slightly different. They've got more rounded edges. We've got that white design obviously, and there's a little bit more space where the Switch sits, even has like these what feels like kind of rubber strips. So Nintendo has been listening to a bit. They made sure that the Switch doesn't get scratched up. You will notice it jiggles ever so slightly, but I can live with that as long as my screen stays intact. So not a big deal. Some changes though that they made are in the back. The plate is now removable. Instead of it just like kind of sitting there, you can remove it. But they also added an Ethernet port. So they've added an Ethernet port so that if you want to have this thing docked up connected to your modem router, whatever it may be, you can go ahead and have that. So I used the Eastern feature for the first time with this guy. And I was a little bit surprised. They capped the speed that you get from the Ethernet, that port, I believe the max I could get out of it was, I think, maybe 70 megabits. So you're not going to get crazy speed or anything. It's all cap. So if you're trying to download games, it might still take a little while. It's going to be better than Wi-Fi, of course, cause you got that stable 70 or 60, whatever it may be that you have. So just in case, you set yours up with an Ethernet cable, don't be surprised when you see possibly lower speeds than you get with your laptop or something. But overall I do like the dock. Oh, you've got the two USB ports on the side now and I think it's fine. I don't ever use it, to be completely honest with you guys.